Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of Editors Forum, where we bring you an assembly of some of your bravest, most articulate editors to break down the headlines that made the big stories of the week. Today, we are looking at a number of issues. Of course, the dominant one is the vetting of the president's nominee as Ghana's next Chief Justice. I'm talking about Justice Sophia Akuffo. Her vetting was, as expected, dominated by the Muntio 3. Were the questions satisfactory? Were you satisfied with her own delivery? When we come back from the break, I will introduce to you guess who will bring down all of these issues. Apart from the vetting, there was the Savilugu clashes, where some young men of the governing New Patriotic Party, dissatisfied with the president's nominee as MCE for Savilugu, took to the streets. They engaged in a gun battle with the police. They have insisted that as far as they are concerned, the president must revoke her nomination. Otherwise, they will not allow her to perform her duties. And of course, there is the vexed issue of a toll, a levy for road towing. If your car breaks down and you leave it on the road, government is partnering a private company to tow your car at a levy, a compulsory levy, whether you like it or not. If you own a vehicle, you pay this levy. There are those who believe this is another example of create, loot, and share. Do you agree? This is Editors Forum. When we come back from the break, I will introduce to you my guest, and we'll settle for this discussion. Keep watching. You're welcome. You're watching Editors Forum, and I have with me two strong men. To my immediate left is Winston Amwa. He is morning show host 3FM. Winston, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I have Wolanyo Nyanato. He is senior political reporter, Metro TV. Wolanyo, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. My
good to have you both here.
You're welcome.
What was the week like for you in terms of news? Let me start with Wolanyo.
I think that the week it's been very interesting. It's been a historical one at that, because for subsequent governments, we've had women taking on a role that traditionally has been reserved for men. And so I am very glad that the new Chief Justice, who was vetted by the Appointment Committee of Parliament, in fact, for the first time, we had an array of people coming together to vet this woman, and I am very glad that she lived up to expectations.
Was that the biggest story for you?
The biggest story for me, I think, was not primarily with the Chief Justice, but I feel that the authority of the president currently is not being undermined by people in the opposition, but people in his own government. And I don't think...
You're talking about the Savilugu.
The Savilugu, and I think that it doesn't augur well for us.
So for you, that was the biggest story?
For me, that is, yes, because if you question the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo, I believe that you are coming against a force backed by law. But if we cannot accept the fact that the president is not just a president as an individual, but an office that needs to be respected, and we go on to misbehave in the manner in which we are doing, then I believe
that for you was a big story.
For me, that
Winston,
is a big story.
Which one was the big story for you within the week?
Well, lots of issues happened in the course of the week, but for me, I mean, I always look forward to ensuring that we have a lot of money as a people, and so certainly, you know, the Occupy Ghana,
yes, which is one of the issues we listed. Yes.
Of course, having Sophia Akuffo Justice, going through vetting, it was a big issue. We'll get to it and we'll find out, whether members of parliament really lived up to expectation. We'll also look at her responses. Of course, it happened on Friday, and we've not had much time to talk about it. Issues of the Savilugu clash. What do you expect? I mean, it's a political thing, if you could say. I mean, I listened to my brother Wolanyo talking about the president's authority being usurped. I think the president himself gave his people a chance to usurp his authority, if anybody at all is usurping his authority. Why? Because when you say that people should go through vetting at the regional level and they should submit a list to you, what you're telling them is that they have a say in who becomes MCE. You get it?
Yes.
So in that situation, When the people say we do not want this person, do you blame them?
So they set themselves up.
The president set himself up for all of these. When we get to the issues, I have other issues.
And that's a typical morning show voice, isn't he? Winston, great voice, great voice. Okay, let's zoom into the issues. The president's nominee as Chief Justice, which itself did not come without controversy, because those of us in the media had started pointing out that some persons were likely to be nominated. And in fact, many of us didn't even pay attention to her presence on the bench. We actually forgot that she was one of the senior most on the bench. And we were looking at people who were far younger, far junior to her. And the president virtually dodged everybody and then settled on her. Now let's look at the vetting. Let me start with you, Winston. From start to finish, 6 hours. What's your assessment?
Well, I think it's just like a lot of the vettings we've seen, except that this time around you had a longer period within which to ask questions. We had been told earlier on that each member was going to be giving 20 minutes. I do not know whether Mahama Yariga got 20 minutes. I think that's an issue.
You have doubts about that?
He didn't get 20 minutes, that we do know.
Did you count that?
Well, when I checked, it wasn't up to 20 minutes, that I do know. I mean, if you doubt me, you can just play back Mahama Yariga's session and find out if that was up to 20 minutes. Certainly wasn't up to 20 minutes.
Why do you think that happened? That the chairman, Joseph Oseusu, did not allow Ayarga to exhaust his time, if you are to be believed?
You're getting me to think for the chairman. I don't want to do that for the chairman, but I mean, people will speculate. I don't want to speculate. If I speculate, then it probably would be.
But you are certain that he didn't get 20 minutes.
I know Walanyo would not disagree with me on that. He didn't get 20 minutes. That's fact. And so let's move on. Now, I look at the responses of the Chief Justice nominee. Some say we should call her Chief Justice because whatever happens, she's going to be Chief Justice. I look at it and I say, okay, so in one breath, she seems to be evasive. She doesn't want to address the issues. Hold on a minute.
I think she came across as
Hold on,
evasive.
Malik. The Chief Justice nominee was preempting cases that could come before her.
Did she?
Oh, you didn't hear when she said these are cases that could come before the Supreme Court. Why don't you heard her?
Yes, I did.
Great. She made that comment. These are cases that could end up in the Supreme Court. And so I do not want to talk about it. That's something she said. I listened carefully. But hold on a minute. Do you know that there's a case in the Supreme Court currently challenging the admission procedure into the Ghana Law School?
The case brought by Professor Stephen Kwakwasari.
She talked about that. Wasn't that sub judice? If we were to use her own words.
To be fair, I think when the matter first came up, she commented on it, and then she remembered that this is a matter before the
but
court.
She says, if you're to ask of my view, I would say that the Ghana Law School is an important institution. I am paraphrasing, I'm not quoting a verbatim.
Yes.
Now, the fact that the faculties of law which we teach, but when it comes to professional examination, it's important that we have an institution which would see people through. I am only saying, and I am only using the words of, or the thinking of the Chief Justice nominee. If you say that you are not going to comment about issues because they are before you at the court, you just commented on one, and you commented on two when you were taught. You were asked a question on touting.
Yes,
you commented on that.
The matter involving lawyers advertising.
Great.
Which is a matter that Francis Susu has appealed against a decision of the General Legal
Is that
Council.
before the court or not?
Well, it's actually not the court. It's before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council.
Who becomes the chairman of the General Legal Council?
She no longer is the chairperson of the General Legal Council. She used to be the chairperson. She no longer is.
Of the disciplinary committee. But when she becomes Chief Justice, what happens to her?
Well, she will be head of the General Legal
Great.
Council.
So the point I am only making...
the General Legal Council won't, as a body, won't decide for the disciplinary committee.
No, but so the point I am only making is that when you're making comments, you say, I do not want to do this.
But to be fair, she did that repeatedly.
No, because you see, Malik, all I am saying is simply this. When you set a bar for yourself, we expect you to go according to that bar. Okay? You say you're not going to comment on issues before you. I talked about the issue about the Ghana Law School, and you quoted rightly Professor Kwakwasari. The case is supposed to be heard on the 22nd of June. She's talked about it.
This case was filed long ago, actually.
Great, but she knows if the case is before her. doesn't she? And for the fact that, you see, she
Maybe she's
preempted-
not a member of the panel hearing that
doesn't
particular
matter.
case.
But the moment you become Chief Justice, you're the one who's supposed to empanel. That has been empaneled already. I mean, I'm sure by now they know who's sitting on that case.
Yes.
But the point is that if you say that there are cases that are currently before you, not you as a person, but you by virtue of being on the Supreme Court,
A member of the bench.
member of the bench, and you by virtue of the fact that you even would want to preempt cases, then I say that the Chief Justice nominee was evasive. I certainly wasn't pleased with her response on, the touting bit. As we go on, I'll show you why I wasn't pleased with that.
Let me hear from Walanya. Do you share that view that Justice Sophia Akuffo was evasive, given the kinds of answers and responses that she gave to the questions asked by members of the Appointments Committee?
I would want to believe that as the incoming Chief Justice, and knowing,
We don't know that yet. Parliament hasn't given its approval.
I don't think she wouldn't be approved. It will be. Do I use the word novelty? It would be strange, in fact, in the annals of this country if she doesn't go through. But for me, what stands out is the fact that she was not just matured about her answers,
Oh,
but I'm saying she was not just matured about her answers. I'm saying she was
more than that.
yes,
Okay.
not just matured about her answers, because she knew what every answer she gave to a question, she knew what she was talking about. Evasive to some extent, yes, because I am believing within the context that certain questions that came to her, that notwithstanding the fact that her pronouncement could be quoted back at her one day when she sits on the bench, made it very important that she, at every point, she knew, or she had to calculate very well what answers she was given to every question. On the advertising and the social media issues and all those other things, I think that she was very, very, how do I put it? She was very matured, because let us be very careful that our laws have not also matured or been transforming at the level at which we are growing as a society. And so,
But it was for her to proffer an opinion on this. If she believed that there was
that is why I loved the part that she said, she used words like "not a project." To a question that was asked of her, she used the word, "It's not going to be my project, but a pet, program." It means it's an evolving, and it's a process. You understand what I'm saying? So I am of the view that some of the answers she gave, knowing by hindsight, she knew very well that anything she says there, including even to the point that she was being asked to review the Muntie 3 issue, yes, she wasn't the only one who took that decision. She was part.
She chaired the panel.
She chaired the panel. She chaired, but her decision was not the final. She communicated a decision off a bench, off a panel. And so, for me, asking her to review the decision of her colleagues in public, I think we were asking a bit too much.
Let's hear what she said. Let's hear what she said at the vetting.
Okay.
And then we can come back and talk about it.
The importance is what you do about the negative impressions. Some of it you address by making your processes and procedures more open and more better known to the public, so that it does not seem like you're working some hocus pocus or some magic. Also, it is important that where discipline of the internal players being the judiciary, or for that matter the judicial service staff, where disciplinary issues arise, those also need to be dealt with without any favoritism and without any selectivity, and in an open and transparent manner, so that those outside know that something is being done, and those inside know that something is being done and will be done if they also breach any of the rules.
Yeah, welcome back. You just watch what the nominee said, Justice Sophia Akuffo said to the Appointments Committee of Parliament when she met them in the matters relating to the decision that the Supreme Court took, a panel that she chaired took regarding some two journalists or a radio host like himself and two panelists like they are here today. So, Walanya, you heard her. You think that her responses were apt as far as this matter was concerned?
I am of the view, like I was saying earlier on, we should not make a mistake of trying to ask her on the spell of a moment because she's going to take a position that is very important to the judiciary or the law of this country to review a decision that was made. I believe that as we sit here, we can take a decision, but your face will be the one that will communicate that decision. You understand what I'm saying?
And it is
it is fair that it must in this. Let us turn it around. Let us turn it around. Maybe, just maybe, if she was the only one who was supposed to have taken that decision and it was in her court, probably would have had something different. But this is a panel. That's such.
She could have delivered a dissenting view. She didn't. So
we don't know.
We cannot assume that she would have come to a different conclusion.
For now, I don't think that we know that decision.
No, we know the decision. No, she presented the decision.
She's presented a decision of not herself. A decision of
a panel which she chaired.
A panel which unanimously said we're going.
Unanimously,
that is it. Great. So, I mean, once they give that judgment, what she said is known. You write your judgment.
That's it.
We know it. Well, I know. My point is simply this. And I would quote something that last year when I spoke to Professor Michael Quay, he said, when Justice Doche...
So you're talking about the current Speaker of Parliament.
Current Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Professor Aaron Michael Quay. When Justice Doche had talked about, had explained the ruling of the Supreme Court, there are many who said, why should a Supreme Court judge out of court go ahead and be explaining what his ruling meant?
You're talking about Abu Ramadan 3.
Great. Do you know what Professor Michael Quay said at the time? He said, in the advanced jurisdictions, in fact, they go as saying, for instance, Lord Denning, which many lawyers know, as Lord Denning, in further elucidation on this said, not in court, he could even write.
Yes.
And that could be quoted. What am I driving at? There's absolutely nothing wrong if a Chief Justice nominee sits in Parliament and says, this is the reason, this is what we meant, this is the reason why we did this and that and that. But to say that I cannot review my case, again, you see, you've seen the U.S. Supreme Court judges being vetted. I mean, many of the times when we say these things, there are a lot of Ghanaians who say, why do we always want to compare? But we're trying to get up there. People come in, then they ask their legal philosophies, one of which Justice
they asked
Akuffo was trying to be, not willing to come out with it. But you see, they know. You are a conservative judge. You are a liberal judge. These are things that are known. If you talk about a case, Justice Georgina Wood, finally, when that case came, the Muntie 3, she recused herself, didn't she?
Because she had been specifically mentioned by these radio panelists.
The point is that it doesn't matter. As the Chief Justice, yes, you can sit on cases, but if there are cases which you think that you have an opinion and your opinion is well known, you recuse yourself. For me, if she hadn't talked about any other such case pending before court, like the law school case, like the law school case, I wouldn't have had a problem. Because when you set a bar, you don't want to talk about cases that are before court, and you talk about one, what prevented you from talking about the others?
But Winston,
yes,
let's be fair.
I am being fair.
If a Supreme Court judge appears before a parliamentary vetting committee and you require of her to provide a justification for decisions that she took at a public hearing. How fair is that? Because if you disagreed with the decision, there's a review process. If you wanted any other clarification, you ought to have come back to the court via review process.
Great.
If you didn't do that, you cannot use the back door and come and sit at a vetting committee and then ask her to provide a justification which itself may be twisted and misunderstood and misconstrued,
So,
and propaganda done out of it.
So it was not, you see, if I listen to Mama Yariga very well, he asked a question, one of them asked a question, that if the Attorney General didn't pick that issue up on her own, the Judicial Secretary could have notified the Attorney General. You heard that?
Alex
The Attorney General to do so. That is a question. Because you see,
but she answered and said she's unaware.
She's unaware when she you know,
whether the Judicial Secretary
I'm only
not.
drawing your attention to something. Because you see, these are issues that are out there. They have a chance to ask you because the law rests in your bosom. Mind you, when the Supreme Court rules, it becomes law.
Absolutely.
So these are things that are in your bosom. All they are seeking is clarification on other issues. Fine, they did not come to court. But now that you are here, okay, you're telling members of parliament, you're telling Ghanaians, I do not see anything wrong with it. Look, all I am saying is...
The judge is asked to explain her judgment.
Justice Doche explained the judgment of Abu Ramadan and co. Didn't he?
Did he?
He said what we meant.
It was just one small point which was
Justice
asked him.
Doche said what we meant was that go and delete. Why didn't he sit in court and then explain it when the people came to court?
But even in that interview, when he said this is what we meant, he still said, if the Electoral Commission is unsure, it should come back to us. And that was exactly what happened.
If they are unsure, they should come back to court. It did not prevent him from giving that opinion. It did not prevent him from clarifying the ruling. That is why I say nothing prevents. You see, I am coming from a certain background, and I have quoted, we're journalists, I've quoted by saying that, you know, Professor Michael Quay, now Speaker of Parliament, at the time said there was nothing wrong with it, and he made sense to me. And based on that sense that he made to me, I am saying that I do not see anything wrong with that.
So you were expecting her to have given some clarification as to why they arrived
in this particular situation where you've ruled already, and people are asking questions about it. I mean, the people have been released. They're not coming back to court. I mean, they're just asking you. They just want clarification. And if you give clarification, why not?
But she gave clarifications.
She said, I mean...
Because
she said she doesn't want to review her cases. That's what she said.
No, she gave clarification. Let me give you one example. Muttaka asked him, and Muttaka laid out similar decisions that the same Supreme Court had taken in respect of Sir John, Sami Ewuku, Stephen Atubiga. These were guys who were hauled before the Supreme Court under the same contempt law, and they were punished. And Muttaka said, there is judicial precedence. And he said, on the basis of judicial precedence, when these guys were punished, the sentences were lighter. In the case of Muntio 3, the sentences were far heavier. Did the court depart from its own judicial precedence? She gave, in my view, an illuminating explanation of what judicial precedence is, and pointed out that in this case, judicial precedence did not apply because what applied was
the Supreme Court is not bound. The Supreme Court is not.
It's not bound by its own decision, but even more.
And so that's aside.
But even
that's
more,
aside.
she said it was discretion.
Great.
It was discretion, and discretion does not
Great.
fall within precedence.
Except that she did not talk about the fact that, you see, the question that was asked, she said, oh, I am unaware. But you see, what they were driving at was the fact that when you go to court, okay, and Martin Amidu wrote that article. You remember? He said you cannot be, a complainant, a prosecutor, and a judge.
Yeah, basic clauses, you can be a judge in your own cause.
And that is how come they expected the Attorney General to do so. And that's how come, if the Attorney General was not doing so, the Judicial Secretary could have done that. I still insist.
But the law under which they took this decision is law.
It's law.
Trite law.
I do not have a problem. You see, I do not have a problem with, the law on contempt is one that is not very clear. It's something that a judge decides.
It's contentious.
No, it's
clear. It's just that it's contentious.
What is contentious is not very clear. A judge can just decide that what you've done is contempt of court because you've brought the court's name into disrepute. And once a judge decides what you've done is bringing the court's name into disrepute, you'll be charged with contempt and then you're gone.
And it's only the superior courts that have that kind
Yeah,
of power.
so,
Let me go
so
to what
I mean, that issue is very contentious. And so when we put it at that, and I say that is not very clear, I still insist that I expected her to have been able to explain certain things once she was before Ghanaians and once she was before Parliament.
Well, on the questions, the nature of the questions, were you satisfied? Where some people took issues with a question which was asked about her favorite Bible quotation or Bible verse?
I don't think that is out of place, because in the United States, for instance, like he quoted, he said earlier on, the philosophy and then the kind of thinking that a judge brings or you believe in over a certain period of time
philosophy
comes to bear. There's a certain precedence that, as we've all realized, that comes to bear on certain decisions that judges make. 20 minutes for each person to ask a question, I thought was a bit too much. That notwithstanding the fact that some of the questions were a bit very unnecessary. And I should say that I was satisfied with some of the questions, particularly from the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, maybe because he has a legal background.
Because he's a lawyer.
Not just a lawyer, but probably might have been reading some of the decisions that have been made at the highest places within the judiciary, I mean the Supreme Court. And I believe that some of the questions were just unnecessary. Repeatedly, somebody would say, oh, like he asked about 1 hour, 30 minutes
Did you think there was too
back,
much, there was over-concentration on Muntie 3 from the minority side?
It was expected. It was expected. I don't think that, look, we cannot draw we cannot draw a clear line and then say that it wasn't we were not expecting questions to come from that end, because whether we like it or not, the two sides of the body in Parliament, I mean the NDC and the MPP, were going to take a certain advantage of the situation to do their own politicking. And I am of the view of the position that at every point, each of them tried as much as possible to take advantage of the position of the period to either make the woman or the lady, her lordship, Sophia Kufu, either look foolish or maybe either wanting her to commit. That is why I'm being very careful in using the word review, because on the Muntie 3, I want to believe that as a chairperson, whatever decisions that she might have contributed to, at least we know about when Anado went to court, for instance, over the contention over who won the
election,
2012 elections, for instance.
2013.
We know that the decisions of every judge who sat on that panel is public. You can go to the library and you will be able to access it. And I have not. I'll be very careful on the side of caution by saying that I have not read Justice Sophia Kufu's decision on the Muntie 3. But that notwithstanding,
it was a unanimous decision, so it was not a
she might have.
decision.
She might have. Yes, she communicated, but even in there, going by what my brother just said, precedents in the 2012 election dispute, every judge had his position written out and it's public.
Yeah, but that is.
But what I'm saying is that, so her decision, I have not read. Justice Atuba came to communicate what the panel had taken. She had also, but his decision is public. It's in there.
Let me explain to you how this works. When a matter these work, when a matter comes before the panel, before a panel hearing a case, there are a number of ways of dealing with it. They go to conference, and she explained that. They go to conference and they talk about their various positions on the matter. Now, if there is a unanimous decision, they will choose one person to write the judgment. In that case, you will not read about this person's judgment and that person's judgment.
That is why I'm using the word. If you listen to me
where
earlier,
they disagree,
yes,
they will vote if there's a majority and a minority. The minority will select somebody to write the minority opinion, and the majority will select somebody to write a majority opinion, and then they will both present. In other cases, every single judge will do their own judgments and come to a certain conclusion. And then based on the conclusion that they come from, you can determine whether they are in the majority or in the minority. That's how come you found out that each of the 9 judges wrote their own.
I am coming from a position that what she was before was more like you going for a job interview. Let us not mix the two positions. But in the Muntie 3 situation, she sat in a session with other judges. You understand what I'm saying? And so that process or that situation compared to when she was before Parliament, the appointment committee, to answer questions and asking her on the spell of the moment to review the decision. I am not disagreeing with my brother here, but all I'm saying is that asking her to review the decision that they took unanimously at the spell of the moment, I think that she knowing how the law operates and precedents for let me use the word precedents, because it is possible that whatever probably she says there could one day be used by another lawyer who probably might appear before her or any other judge, quote her, because let us be very careful. The judges, their own pronouncement, the judge's pronouncement is not just pronouncement, but it is law and it is also binding sometimes.
What she was doing there was not judicial.
What she was doing there was judicial.
It was not a judicial
you
forum.
We cannot disassociate.
What she was doing there was not a judicial
forum.
No,
we cannot disassociate.
You can't go and quote her in any decision.
That is not true.
Any case and say she said this at the verdict.
No. That is not true. Let us be very careful. She's of an entity.
Yeah, but when you
and of a decision. No, but what I'm saying is she's of an entity that made a decision, and she's now being called upon to review that. I think it's a bit technical for me. I am not too sure.
You have this.
Not really. See, it's not as if, you see, some of the cases, I cited that example. Sometimes you're only giving, people are asking for clarification. Of course, you could have come to court and sought clarification. But you see, when you've gone to court and the court has unanimously ruled, I mean, do you go for a review? You don't go for a review.
You don't go. That's what I'm saying. That so the decision is that she was not expected.
Hold on, but like the lawyers will tell you. Yes, but
that decision,
like the lawyers will tell you, when you go to the Supreme Court and it's unanimous, I mean, there's no need going for a review.
No, you can. In the case of Martin Amidi has done that before.
No, you can't go to court. You see, my point is that, I mean, the reason why in the case of the constitutionality of the Fast Track High Court, the appointed justices are fair, so they could have 11, and she even said it was the fact that in most of the cases, judges do not change from their previous positions. You understand? They do not change. And so if you go for a ruling, and that's unanimous, what you know is that if I try, there's no need to succeed. I mean, if there's little chance of succeeding or success, so why do I want to go there? What I am saying is that this presented an opportunity. People are just asking few questions about the decisions you took. You could have just explained, cleared the doubts in the minds of people. I do not see anything wrong with it. Justice Doche did it. He cleared the doubts at the time.
That's a matter of choice. And
no, that's you see. But my point is that there's nothing wrong with that. It is done. So when you make it look like it is a wrong thing, and I do not understand.
Okay, let's talk about the
on the whole.
The
questions. You see,
were you satisfied with?
Malik, seated here. Were you satisfied with the questions?
I'm the one asking the question.
No, you see, it's obvious. I have always made the point that it's obvious that some members on the appointments committee do not ask relevant questions. Some of them ask irrelevant questions.
Yeah.
And that was obvious on the day.
It was.
People were asking irrelevant questions. Okay, but I'm not surprised because that's the level of our parliament's. So I don't. So I am not in contempt of Parliament. I'm just trying to get the right word.
Yes.
That right word isn't coming. I refuse to use the word I was going to use earlier But you see, it only goes to tell
And
you.
it saves me and you.
It saves us. You know, but seriously, I was listening with a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and so some members have 20 minutes, and their background to their questions enough. It's alone sometimes 3, 4, 5 minutes. You know, this is somebody who's coming in there. And one of the things I liked about Ayerga, you see the way Ayerga was going, he was getting into something, and the chairman stopped him. When he asked a question,
But that is why he is the chairman.
no,
That
but
is
you
why
see,
he
no,
is.
but you see, you don't stop him
No,
and tell him
no,
that his
no,
time
no,
is up.
no, no. But that is why
I'm
he's
making a point.
You see,
No,
if we
no,
do not
he-
put the brakes on
But
some
he
of
doesn't
these
have
things.
to be capricious.
No,
No,
I'm making a
but
point.
what I'm saying is that you see the danger of allowing some of these things to drift into certain areas.
Let me make my point. Let me make the point.
it also
He's not
put
drifting. He's not drifting in certain areas. All that Ayerga was doing. Watch this. He says, "Were you part of those who signed the petition against Dr. Atukuba?"
Yes.
She says, "Yes." So why did you refuse to hear him out when he appeared before the Supreme Court?
And she
She explained, but the General Legal Counsel had not listened to him. When Ayerga then came in to say he was going on to push further, then the chairman says, "Honorable member, your time is up." I would have wanted to know his next line of questioning, because this brings about issues of fairness. You've petitioned against somebody. His case hasn't been heard yet. He appears before you.
No.
You say that, hold on, you say that because he said all judges take bribe. He has not mentioned names. You do not know. You expect him to come clean. And so until he comes clean, you're not going to hear his case.
No, but her case was,
That was her
you
case.
made
That was her
a
case.
sweeping allegation.
That's some judges.
He didn't say some.
he said
He
some.
said, no, he didn't say some. He said judges. Judges
No, some.
take.
And that's what they said. He should mention names. I listened. He said some. He said he has lived in the house of a judge, and he knows that some judges take bribes. The point is that if there's anything
Was
to
that
go
itself
by,
not?
if there's anything to go by, Anas has shown those who take bribes. So let's put that aside.
That's true. But the point is,
but the point is
in
that
respect
no,
of
no, but the
the
point is that
Chief Justice nominee, she signed a petition as a member of the bench. Their case was the General Legal Counsel must bring this lawyer to name the judges that he knows take bribe, because their point was,
and the case is not
a
being heard.
lawyer cannot go to a public forum and make such a sweeping
And was the case heard
allegation
before he appeared
without
before her?
mentioning names.
Was the case heard before
So
he appeared
their
before
case
her?
is, we have signed a petition against you because you have made an allegation which touches upon us. Until that petition is heard, we are unwilling to entertain you because maybe we are some of the judges that you accuse of taking bribes. So go and peg yourself with the General Legal Counsel, and then you can be heard. That is fair.
That you think that is fair?
She would argue that is fair.
I would have wanted to know Mama Ayerga's next line of questioning.
But she explained why they took
No,
the
but the
decision.
explanation, we do not know the facts available to Mama Ayerga. That for me is the reason why I was unhappy when he was told his time was up, when clearly it wasn't up to 20 minutes. If he had been given a chance, these were some of the intelligent questions that were being asked. You heard from Dr. Dominic Ayene, you heard from Mr. Yeletre. They were asking intelligent questions. Some members of parliament, yes, they didn't ask intelligent questions. I hope you're not cited for contempt of parliament, but that's obvious. Some of them didn't ask intelligent questions. I mean, all they did was to follow the crowd. I listened to them, and I think that going forward, I think that, look, there's a judicial committee, isn't it? There's a judicial committee in parliament.
Yes.
I think it's about time we looked at this whole appointment committee thing. For them to vet everybody. Because there are some members in there who clearly have no knowledge of the issues, and yet they want to ask
But
questions.
that is why this time around, the House itself decided to draft in ranking members of important and critical committees.
Making it so
Because Dominic Ayena would not have asked those questions because he's not a member of the appointments committee.
You are supporting my argument. So Dominic Ayene coming in there, and you listen to his question, the legal philosophy that she comes from.
But there are those who raise questions about her question. For example, he asked a question about, he asked her whether she had lost sleep over any decision she has taken. There are those who say, you can't ask a judge to come and sit at a public forum and then, as he says, review her own decisions.
Did you hear her when people made reference to Justice Databa's statement, that people should only look at the substantive law rather than the procedural, and that she said there were times that they looked at certain cases, and so referred it to ADR. They looked at it, they looked at the law, and said, you know what, go for ADR. My question simply,
because she said that she was uncomfortable with where the law was leading
great.
them.
So that's the question.
And so she said,
the question is that. So the question is
there
that.
are gray areas.
So the question is that there could be a time that you're likely to lose sleep. In this situation, I can conjecture and say that, look, because of the way the law was going, if she were to apply the law, if the Supreme Court were to apply the law, they realized no. So why don't you resort to ADR? And so if somebody like Dr. Dominic Ayine asked that question, I do not see anything wrong with it. I mean, it was better than those who were asking questions about certain provisions of law, when certain laws, whether you're going to, can you assure the committee and all of those things? And this law, when you know very well that they don't make laws, and that, can you get a law to do with this, a law to deal with mob justice? You know that when it comes to making of laws, the law.
And the people asking the questions,
yeah,
it's their job to make
it's their job to make laws.
it.
So do you say that, that's an intelligent question? It certainly isn't. And so for me, I say that going forward on this bit of vetting, this is a point I've always held. I expect that if we are to vet a Minister of Information, the committee that's oversight responsibility over that ministry in Parliament should conduct the vetting.
Maybe what happened in respect of this one should give us
It's been like that in many of the cases. Haven't people come to Parliament and talked about how you are my mother, you are my role model in politics?
Not just that. Not just that. But I get seriously infuriated when people we are putting our trust into come before vetting committees, and you hear people like, you are my role model. Oh, how are you, mommy? I've been looking at you all the... I mean, it is so silly. I don't want to go beyond a certain... But it's so silly that I spend my time as a journalist trying to listen to you and communicate to the public what you are saying. And I have a member of parliament or somebody who... And boss, listen very carefully. These people don't sit for free. They don't sit for free. So even in your foolishness, excuse my language, even in your foolishness, you should be able to contact a colleague in Parliament, probably who is a lawyer, somebody who should to be... No, wait.
To any specific
I am not referring to any specific... That's why I'm being very careful here.
Okay. So
but what I'm saying is that...
I
might sound... You see, we sound too very conventional with the way we do things in this country, and nothing gets done. We talk, we are sitting here. People are listening to us from the house. Somebody is calling the son who is probably supposed to go and play a game on the phone. He said, come and sit down and listen. Why should the person be listening to us? The person should be listening because
you give them
it is important that when I put you there as my MP and you are part of the Judicial Committee in Parliament, I expect you to come and sit there, do your homework. You didn't call me to come and sit on this program because you felt that I'm handsome and he has a big head or something. Your head is big anyways. But what I'm saying...
I would not glorify his ministry. If I glorify his ministry, he will be excited.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's not because of that. You are being paid to come and ask relevant questions. But some of the questions were so unnecessary. 20 minutes, 6 hours. Boss, 6 hours doing what? 6 hours doing what?
If she's somebody's role model and they say it.
Role model, do I need you to come and sit there to tell me? Very irrelevant. Seriously irrelevant.
I have to take a break.
You see, we should get serious in this country.
I have to take a break at this point. Walanya is getting heated.
I am heated anyways. Don't worry about that.
He's unhappy that some members of parliament
heated.
Questions
very relevant.
They ask questions which were not very
and
educated. You're watching Editors Forum. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we will round up on the vetting and then we will proceed to talk about other matters. Keep watching. You're welcome. You're watching Editors Forum. And we are talking about the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Sophia Kufu. My guests are Winston and Walanyo, WW.
Yes.
So Winston.
Yes.
Your belief is that some of the questions were not up par, and the responses were not up par as well.
one of the things that Justice Akufu did, you know, of course, she, apart from evading...
Okay, so what impressed you about the vetting? Because everything you have said so far is critical of the vetting. What impressed you?
What impressed me?
Did anything impress you at all?
Well, I'm struggling to remember.
This man can be so unkind.
No,
Okay. Let me say this. For me, I don't think I would want to use the word like you asked, impressed. What I would want to say is that for us as a country and then as a democracy, it shows that we are maturing. One president appointed a woman. Very big shoes that Georgina Woods is leaving for her lordship, Sophia Kufu, to come and fill. I want to believe that even guessing on her own, she should be able to take along some of the feelings, some of the public feelings about the judiciary along whilst she goes into that office. It's a very important office that she's going to occupy, but my position is that for me, it's a plus for women in particular, because it means that they still, we are appreciating them.
So you see, he's not really told you what impressed him about the vetting.
No, I've just said, I'm saying that for women,
yes,
for
but
women,
apart from the answer said the questions.
No, I have agreed that she was, I don't know whether I should use the word evasive, but I would tread on the side of caution by saying that she was judicially matured about her answers.
You said she should consider emotion of people.
The public sentiment about the judiciary.
I'm talking about sentiment.
Yes.
In Savelugu and the Savelugu-Nantong area, there is a question about whether the president considered the people's sentiments when he nominated Hajia Aishetu as the MC for the area. And it appears to be the story that irked you most.
You know,
why do you think that the president's powers are being challenged?
Do you know what? I am of the view that knowing who President Nana Akufo-Addo was previously and who he is now, I want to believe that there is a difficult path that he's treading now.
Why? How so?
Within the context that, you see, the people on the ground are the people who gave him the power in Savelugu. But the people are also saying that in the case of Hajia, we do not know her to be a part of us. My question is, why I've taken interest in this case is because who are the people? Did National Security go to investigate this woman? Who is she in the party? Who, not just at the national level, but at the regional, and then
a party member?
She must, boss.
Does the law prohibit any citizen?
Let us be very careful here. These agitations are not against NDC nominees. Winston here will tell you. The agitations are not against NDC nominees. These are MPP people.
And I'm saying, why should any MPP people complain and agitate?
No, you see,
because
if the politics,
somebody has been appointed to a position.
You cannot disassociate the politics so much from the happenings and administration of some of, in fact, in our governance. You cannot do that. It is technically wrong. My position is this. Why I have taken an integral interest.
And before you tell us that position, let's go to Savelugu. Our correspondent sent us some images of the disturbances there. Let's pick those ones, and then Wolanyo will tell us what his position is as far as this matter is concerned. You're watching Editors Forum. Keep watching.
What happened is that this morning, around 9 o'clock, we went to assembly. To tell them that up to now, we are so happy about the woman. So we're there when the municipal commander, the police called our family to bring security. When we stand there, when they arrive with the car, when they get there, they say, action. And when they say action, they started shooting.
Okay.
Those who were close to them, they were shooting until all the bullets had finished. So when we went there for the first time, there was actually about the police. The police were there. They were trying to shoot us. If they don't shoot us, they said they would shoot. I said they would shoot. So they that also the plan right. When we look, the assembly. If they come to Mr. Law and Edward, they should come and say, hey, please come here. Listen this and go. We listen and go. Because we're him. But they come and lie, sit down, and they're shooting people with guns. That's not the best way. We're living in democracy. The assembly were black. They were black with killing thousands. And they were forced by the military again.
What evidence? That is a serious accusation you're making there. What evidence do you have to back it?
What happened is that...
What is the evidence that they were bribed?
We have the evidence. I have the evidence. I have the evidence. I have a tape record. I have a tape recorder. I have a tape recorder.
Some of your members were injured today. Do you think it is worth it?
But it's very nice that they were here to do the party. We like that. But we have to go to the party. If the people leaders are in Accra and the people are getting injured, it's very nice for them. 2020 will come.
So you are happy that your members were injured because of this, so that the party will take action?
Yeah, we're happy because what happened is that we were happy because 4 years time is coming. 4 years back is coming. They will see. 4 years coming back. They will see who for them. We will continue to demonstrate. Even 4 years we will continue to demonstrate. We will never go back. We will never go back until they also listen to us.
Like I said, you are not afraid that the police will arrest you for being engaged in lawlessness?
I'm a party member. They can't arrest me. Do what about me?
They can't arrest you because you're a party member?
What am I done? I've done nothing.
There's a need for us to invest in the security, both at the public level and at the private level. And I'm sure that you see in the days and weeks and months coming that you see a commitment on our side.
No, but shouldn't we be proactive? Today in Savulugu, in the northern region, we had some armed NPP youth storm the assembly. Compare that to what has happened with the Delta Force in Kumasi when they pulled out the regional coordinator. All of this seeming insecurity is still going on, even when the president came out to assure the nation that we're going to have some peace. Are we really going to have some, order?
Let me assure you that we have condemned all illegality, all violence, all illegal activity of people, regardless of whether they are party people or not. And what is the example? We've got now 13 of our own people before the court. They've already been fined for their attempted escape from justice. They have been fined. We didn't leave them. They are still there now. In the case of the gruesome murder of the major, we had a video covering the activity. We saw who carried the block. We saw who held the stick. And we dealt with it. We have arrested the people. We are working fast towards the prosecution. Savulugu, you're talking of Savulugu. This is not the first time. Earlier on, they had misbehaved and people were arrested and put before court. They're on bail and that one's ongoing. If they have done this, we have to get them out of that place and let them know. But yes, there's a RESEC, and the RESEC would have to do that. I'm going to call the IGP and find out what the progress is. But we are not going to shake our responsibility because they are MPP or not MPP. No, we're not going to do so. Because if there's lawlessness, it's we who fail to put the country together.
You're welcome back. You're watching Editors Forum. That was Interior Minister Ambrose Terry talking about the disturbances in Savulugu and others. And earlier you heard a member of the MPP in Savulugu talking about their determination to ensure that Hajia Aishetu Seidu does not stay in that area as the MCE for Savulugu. My guests are still with me, Walanyo and Winston. Walanyo was on fire. Your view is that...
Let me put it this way. That as a son of a police officer who is on retirement, God bless his life, my father, Benjamin Yunato, I want to put it on record that our fathers who wear uniforms don't do politics. You understand what I'm saying? They suffer to gather evidence. They suffer through the night whilst we are sleeping. We, myself, we've lived through it. So when our fathers are on the roads protecting, using the law, our mothers in the house don't sleep. You understand what I'm saying? I think the Interior Minister is talking too much. He's talking too much. An interior minister must not be, in fact, in some countries, you don't even know who the interior minister even is.
If the interior minister didn't
What I'm
talk, you
saying is that
journalists
I
will
want
complain
my
that-
interior minister to stay back and allow the police to act. Because you see,
But the police
an
were the people on the
an
ground.
MCE has been appointed by the president. By the president. No mean person, by the president.
And the people contend.
And the people, what are they saying? We didn't give our power to the people. We gave it to the president to go set and work for us.
And the people say
I am saying that
elected
they are.
a
You
member
see,
of parliament.
you see
Bolanyo, hold
the
on, hold on.
the threat to this country is
Bolanyo,
not
Bolanyo, hold
the
on.
threat to this country's security
Bolanyo,
is not in any group. So, boss,
Bolanyo, hold on.
it's in myself, it's in him, it's in you
Bolanyo, hold on.
coming together to be doing
Hold
some
on.
of these foolish things. That will, you
You
see,
talked about
gradually
giving-
a policeman. Do you know what happened? A policeman, two of the policemen who were detailed there, one of them was locked. Boss, listen, do you know what that means? It meant that we could have recorded the same nonsense that happened to Major Mahama, who is dead. We could have recorded it. The policeman could have been beaten, could have been shot.
Okay.
We do not.
Could have.
Look,
It
boss,
didn't happen.
the police needs to act. The woman needs to be in her office and be working for the people of this country.
Okay, does it?
The nonsense going
Bolanyo,
on is
take it
too
easy,
much.
Take it easy. Does it matter to you that the people, you said you gave power to the president? The people's point is they gave power to the president.
Boss, the president needs to work
And
with competent
they don't
people
want
in
the
this country. The
president to
president does not
appoint-
need to work with people that I know. The Savalegal people needs to understand this. We need to comment. You see, and this is why I say the politics we do here and the security structures are too disjointed, because you know something. The woman who is coming there is not coming to work for only because my auntie probably is even living in Savalegal. His brother probably might have been posted a cousin as a teacher. If the security of the place is not conducive for his brother or for my father or anybody there to go work, we are all under threat.
Winston, is there no merit in the argument that all politics is local? We are consistently told. That being the case, if the president is appointing someone as his representative, should he not take into consideration the interests, the desires of the people?
Great. So yes, it's true. I mean, politics is local, and the president must take into consideration the desire of the people. The law says the president shall appoint. And if the president doesn't take into consideration
shall
the
nominate, actually.
nominate, yes. So your point,
Yeah.
nominate, subject to a two-thirds majority of the assembly.
And
I am-
to add-
I am making a point. I'm making a point.
In this case,
No,
the
you
woman
understand.
has been approved.
Hold on, you get
see
my
the
point.
danger-
No,
that-
Bolanyo, you get my
Bolanyo,
point.
hold on.
What are we talking about
The
here?
locals do not
We are not
like
serious.
this person. They have assembly members who would then go out there and say, you know what, we do not want this person to be
78%.
the president's representative.
78%
What
of
does
the assembly
that
members
tell you?
voted for him.
What does that tell you? They want her to become the MCE of the area. And for 30 days, she couldn't go to her office because these rogues decided not to let her go in there. I was surprised the police accompanied them the last time they went on a demonstration. The police, in one of the demonstrations, the police gave
But
them
they're
permission.
entitled to it.
Oh, hold on.
I mean,
Hold
they
on.
are citizens.
they're
They are
entitled.
entitled to
I
You
would
are
have-
entitled to lock a policeman.
No,
Well,
You are
no,
entitled to
I'm
lock
saying
a policeman.
Bolanyo,
hold on,
Bolanyo,
hold on.
He should have shot the people.
Bolanyo, easy.
Well,
Yes. I am very
that's-
surprised that
that's
he
not-
didn't even, because
that's
you
not
see,
law.
fine, that is not law. You see, we dance in this country. We've been dancing and dancing at every program and dancing to the law,
But that's-
to the point that Major Mahama, if he had even discharged 5 bullets out of his pistol to kill 5 people, the narrative would have been different.
Absolutely.
The barracks is not a place of fun.
Bolanyo, take it
We
easy.
live by it, we stay by it, and I am of the view that if the military office, why do we even promote him?
Okay.
Hold on.
So
Hold on. Let
my point
Winston
simply
make
is
his
this.
point.
We are not serious in this
so
country.
Winston.
Yes, my point is that if I were in the shoes of the police, I would have refused them. And I'll tell you why.
But they are entitled to it by law.
Entitled to
hold on.
what? To lock a uniform
hold on.
person?
No.
Once they are
They are
refused, now they'll go
entitled
to
to
us. The
police
police will tell
protection.
why they are not going to give them. If they do not want, they can go to court.
There's a public order.
The public order says the police will give you reasons why, and so if the police want, they can even seek an injunction from the court. Then you go to court. The public order. No, hold on, Malik. The police can refuse. If they do, you see, they say you inform them. If the police doesn't want you to demonstrate, they would go to court and seek an injunction.
Absolutely.
Great. Now, if the police had sought that injunction, then we'll begin to find out the reason why they're going to demonstrate. That you say you're going to prevent somebody who's duly elected,
appointed, approved,
duly elected from serving. Then we'll find out which court will give you the permission to go there again. So the next time you go there, it means you're going contrary to the provisions of the law and you'll be dealt with.
So,
you see?
So the police failed.
Well, the police failed in this respect. If you ask me,
who is protecting the police?
The police failed in this respect. And I hear the Interior Minister again. I was just checking something. I want to read a certain verse from 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 20. I'll do the King James version. It says, "Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear." Them that sin rebuke before all, that others may also fear. You see, the culture of impunity and indiscipline is as a result of people feeling that they can do so and go free. If people had been punished, we would not get to the situation where somebody can get up. In the first place, who appointed this? I mean, who vetted this woman at the regional level? I know that when these people came into office, the NPP said, okay, so apply at the constituency level, it goes through the regional,
yes,
and then they get to the national.
Yeah. And some
when
people,
she applied, didn't anybody see? Do you know what? Walanyo here knows this. The Savelugu constituency secretary of the NPP filed to become MCE. I was speaking to our Northern Regional correspondent, Zubeida, 3FM's Northern Regional correspondent, Zubeida Ismail, and she tells me that she saw the deputy Northern Regional, the deputy Savelugu constituency secretary in part of the demonstrators.
But he's a constituent.
It is his right.
And he's a party member.
Hold on. So you have a deputy constituency secretary engaging in this act of illegality.
I mean,
doesn't that tell you it is an illegality for you to go and lock an MCE's office and tell her that you wouldn't allow her to work?
I agree.
Who bondog? Are you the one who's supposed to let her work?
Well, I know.
Hold on. So my point is that.
Winston is even being charitable with his words.
No, hold on. Let him finish.
I'm very charitable.
Hold on, let him
finish. He's being very charitable.
Let me finish and you come in. Look, if the government wants to deal with this, it is one of the easiest things to do.
Yes. So
but you see, over here in this country,
how can they deal
with that? Over here in this country, the thing we do, and I remember Dr. Kosini making this point. Everybody at the political sphere, no matter the level, feels he can control the police. Because for some reasons, we have given them the reasons to do so. You heard the Minister of Interior. You heard him. We condemn it. Condemnation is not the order of the day. You condemn it is not a thing to go. Act. Let the police arrest all of them. The police is supposed to do its job. But you see, because of the nature of our politics, where anybody at any level of our political sphere feels that he can control the police, this is what you see. My point simply is that if the government, if the NPP...
But this is pure politics. What are you talking about?
This is purely an NPP matter. If the NPP wants to deal with this...
I was actually responding to something he said about the structure of our security system. See, at every stage of our security system, we impose a politician over the police. Like elsewhere, where the police are independent and can conduct independent investigations regardless of which politician is involved. In our case, the police are actually led. They are spearheaded at the regional level.
Let me tell you.
The regional minister is the head of the regional security council.
On that point.
Isn't it?
Let me not allow you to land on that point. I spoke to Professor Jampo, Ransford Jampo, Political Science Department.
University of Ghana, yes.
And this is an experienced political watcher. And when I spoke to him on the Friday, with all the, I don't know whether I should even use the word bazaar, with all the nonsense that was going on at the forecourt of the State House, that we have promoted a dead man to a major. He said that he was shocked that even the CDS and the IGP, they were sounding like politicians. What do you endanger in your men? What confidence do you put in your men? You don't engender anything in them. So foolishly, that thing happens, nothing has happened. We were in this country
happened.
last week.
50 plus
Please
people
listen to me. You listen to the argument I'm making. I'm not just speaking from the point of a journalist. I'm also speaking like a son of a security man. Our fathers wear the uniform, and the uniform they are wearing is not a bulletproof. That black they wear is not a bulletproof. Why? A young police officer was shot at the Michelle camp patrolling. It is the impunity that will make me want to go and buy. By the way, we are being told we have over 2 million plus arms in the hands of people illegally. Do you know what that means?
Okay, hold
so
on.
if the police all of a sudden, the protector is now
I understand why you are passionate.
No, I'm not just being passionate. I want us to listen to common sense.
Let's
say something.
Let's move the
all
discussion.
I want to say is that we must not, because you see, we are treading on a very dangerous path where if we are not very careful, when the policeman feels very, the least thing he becomes trigger happy, you are not safe. I am not safe.
Let's move the discussion forward.
So the police shouldn't be dancing again.
How can the government deal with this?
I want the president to come back and tell his people in the face that because you know the danger I am fearing now. This is an MPP matter. The danger, what I'm fearing now is that finally they will say, "Oh, Hajia, we want to find some small table for you somewhere. You go off. Let's fix somebody there." If that happens, boss, we have approved foolishness and stupidity in this country. We have constitutionalized it.
Well, if you move the woman, you've only told everybody that if you do not like the president's appointee, go ahead and lock the office and we would come and give you another person. And that's the only reason why I started by saying something. When I quoted the scripture, if the government, the party wants to know those who are behind it, the party knows those who are behind it.
They know.
The party knows those who are behind all of this. So when you punish those people, because you see, as for a party, you can punish in the internal structures, you see, once the party calls these people to order, those who are planning to do so would stop. If you leave them, and you've had the MP, I mean, shamefully supporting these people.
But the MP owes his seat to these people.
What are you talking about?
You owe the nation its peace. Okay? That person who was shot, that person must not be shot as a result of this. No policeman must be locked as a result of this. We must begin to look at the greater good in this country. I have a problem when politicians look at their political party's good. I am always excited when we look at national interest. I say, no matter who you are,
so the solution
if you have a
is
concern,
what?
the solution is to call the demonstrators to order. The solution is to get them to stop that. Whoever is behind it, those who, whoever behind it is known to the party. I'm not going to mention names here. I'll stop short of mentioning names. The party knows them. They should go ahead, deal with those people, tell them that they should call their boys to order. And going forward, there seems to be a culture of indiscipline in this country. And I have quoted the scripture, the good book. If you do not deal with that, others would then begin to think that, okay, I can also do same. Because if you say, and the minister says, oh, we have 13 of our members are before court. I mean,
let me ask you a question. You see,
I'm the host. I'm the one asking the questions.
Okay, let me say this.
In fact, I have to. You have
when
to hold.
When he quoted the scripture, you kept quiet. But I want to tell you that even within the 12 disciples that Jesus Christ had, he had one of the tightest security around him.
This man must have just
no, it's not subjective. You see, when Peter took out the how do you call it, the sword, and slashed off, why? Why did he do that? Even before God himself, the Jesus Christ we say we love so much. I'm saying that we should not avoid hell because we fear fire. You understand what I'm saying?
Hold on.
I'm saying
don't turn this into a biblical.
No, I'm not saying. In the Bible, we say we are Christians, we say we are Muslims.
We have to take
but this woman who is going,
we still have two topics to deal with.
No, I'll finish.
We still have two topics to deal with.
Let me finish here.
If we keep going on, we can't deal with
them. Women being incorruptible has also come to play in this Savelugu issue. Women are less corrupt. Why are they not allowing the woman
there's no scientific proof to
no,
that.
it is true.
We have to take a break.
It is true. Women are
back,
less corrupt. So they want my brother to be there or myself to be there. Somebody to be there who push some document here and there. And why are the people saying they don't know this woman? And this is a party person. And at the national level, people are even speaking to the fact that she has contributed. Do you know party financing? Do you know how serious party financing is?
We have to move on.
We are joking.
We have to take a break. That's Walanyo.
The policeman should have
Walanyo.
People.
He's a senior political reporter at Metro TV. I still have with me Winston Amwa, who is a morning show host, 3FM. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we will deal with the towing levy, which has gotten a lot of people angry. And of course, we'll deal with the Supreme Court decision mandating the Auditor General to surcharge and disallow expenses that have been done that are not in accordance with law. Keep watching, we will be back.